Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Monday, April 11th, 2022. I am Dave Biddle. I am joined by Steve Helwagen. Tough weekend, to say the least, for Buckeye Nation, losing a absolutely outstanding young man and a Buckeye legend in Dwayne Haskins. Steve and I are going to honor him on today's show, some of our favorite memories and some of the other stuff that we're going to talk about regarding Dwayne. I mean, it's just so damn sad, Steve. We're going to get a chance to meet with Ryan Day today at 10:30 to talk all about Dwayne and just absolutely gutted, man. I mean, I love the story that you wrote for our site, and I love the appearances that you made on radio. Give me your initial thoughts on Dwayne, how you first heard the news, and just how you reacted to it.
Yeah, I was in Indianapolis this past weekend. I posted a story on the site about going and checking out 7 of the guys that Ohio State is recruiting for basketball. We're at some tournaments there, and I was sitting in a gym in Ben Davis High School on the west side of Indianapolis. It was 11 a.m. I'm watching Xavier Booker, who's an Indianapolis kid, a 6'11 kid, who's just an amazing athlete. And I'm sitting there and the phone rings. It's my son. I pick it up and he goes, "Did you hear the news?" And I'm like, "No, what's going on? I'm out of town. I was concerned something had happened back at home." And he's like, "Well, Dwayne Haskins has died." And I'm like, "What? You can't be serious." And, then we start talking, you get on the internet, you look and you see, and it seems to be valid. It seems to be true. And you're just like, how could this even be possible? And, it's 2 full days later almost as we're taping this, and we still don't have, many of the answers of why was he out on that road. Presumably he was going to the airport, maybe to catch an early morning flight somewhere. I don't know. And you just don't know, why is he out of his car on a busy interstate? And, accidents do happen. Um, I'm trying to recollect. Were you and I on the same bus going to the national championship game?
We sure were. Where our media shuttle broke down, it was you and me and Jeff Rapp. We were on because all the media shuttles were going so early. There was the national championship game against Oregon, and we're in Dallas. We're in Dallas, and then but the national championship game is in Arlington. So that's about a 45-minute drive to the stadium, and our shuttle broke down right on the side of the highway. Yeah, and trucks are just whipping right by us, and we're just like, this isn't good.
Therefore, the grace of God go us, because if one of those trucks had clipped our van, which was literally parked about that far off of Interstate 30, then we'd be dead. And so accidents do happen, and it's unfortunate. And I guess we just want more information. But, beyond that, obviously, we all, think about the great memories with Dwayne. He was recruited in 2016 and obviously stepped in the 2017 Michigan game and kind of pulled their bacon out of the fire. I mean, they're trailing in the game 20-14, and he came in and provided the spark they needed to win that game. And even though they didn't win the Big Ten championship that year, they still went to the college football playoffs. So that was good. So, I look at it, I'm just kind of dumbfounded by the whole thing. So I don't know. I don't know. The whole thing leaves you just kind of gutted when you think about it. And he had a great year at Ohio State 2018 and went on to the NFL and, realized his dream. And, that, again, he never fulfilled everything that he was going to be, supposed to be, and had that chance still with the Pittsburgh Steelers this year. And we're just never going to know what the story was supposed to be with Dwayne Haskins and his NFL career.
Yeah, I mean, my gosh. I mean, geez. It's tough to talk about. I mean, he's 24 years old, almost 25, had his whole life ahead of him. Could have done such great things. He was such a great young man. Had that first round signing bonus. I'm sure he had plenty of money in the bank. And he had his whole life ahead of him. I still believed in him. I still thought he could be a good NFL quarterback. What we saw in 2018 was no fluke. We saw that. I mean, That 2018 team, Steve, without Dwayne Haskins, I don't even know if they would have been like a 9-win team. They won 13 games that year. The defense was awful. The program was in turmoil because of all the Urban stuff, and Urban was suspended. And then, was Urban not going to come back the next year? And what was going on with that? There's all this turmoil around the program, terrible defense, no running game. They go 13-1, beat Michigan. One of my favorite Michigan games ever, that 2018 game. Win the Big Ten championship, win the Rose Bowl. I mean, they have that wins above replacement stat. I think Dwayne by himself was worth 5 wins that year. I'm not joking. I think they would have been, with Matthew Baldwin as the quarterback, maybe 8-4 at best in the regular season. Probably would have lost their bowl game, but 8-5. Instead, they were 13-1. Let's get into some of our kind of favorite memories about Dwayne. I tell you what, one thing I'll say is, let me put that back up there. One thing I'll say is, I shed a tear many times this week, and I know you did too, Steve. The one that got me the most was watching the video. I hadn't watched it in a while, when he was like, what was he, 8 years old? And he was visiting Ohio State, and he said, I'm gonna come to college here one day and be quarterback. And it's like he was even wearing the number 7, Haskins. I mean, little Dwayne at 8 years old, man, that was hard to watch.
Yeah, he was nicknamed Simba, and from the movie The Lion King, and Simba is this playful cub. And what a perfect nickname for him, because he was a happy-go-lucky guy, didn't seem to have a care in the world. And I think that outlook on life helped him as he approached his job as the starting quarterback at Ohio State, of just a pressure cooker situation always at Ohio State, that you have to win every game and you have to look good doing it. And of course, the one game that they lost was the Purdue game, which was just a ridiculous conglomeration of things. The defense was terrible, and offense, he threw for, I think, 497 yards or maybe 500 yards. I don't even remember the exact number, but just an amazing game by him, but they didn't win the game. I think about, as I said, that Michigan game in 2017. I think about the Rose Bowl. Urban Meyer was retiring, and they threw a party on the field basically in Pasadena and had Washington, down, and Washington made a big comeback and ended up winning 28-23, but he rides off into the sunset in Pasadena. There was the big comeback at Penn State. I believe that was that year.
Yeah.
Down 2 touchdowns in the final
Ben
5
Victor.
minutes.
Yeah.
And hit the big pass to Ben Victor. And I think, KJ Hill, Johnny Dixon, they all had a part of that. So
KJ Hill high-stepping in the end zone for the game-winning score.
Yeah.
That was crazy. That was a crazy comeback. Steve, his stats that year, somebody pointed this out. I was going to mention this. Dwayne Haskins. So entering that year, Joe Germain held the single-season passing record at Ohio State with 3,330 yards. That was the single-season passing record. Dwayne breaks that by 1,500 yards. 4,831 passing yards, completion percentage of 70, 50 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Those stats are just, I would say they're like Madden stats. I was never that good at Madden. I couldn't put up stats like that in Madden. I mean, they're better than video game stats. It's just, I think the best thing about Dwayne is the kind of young man he was, but that 2018 season was the best season by a passing quarterback in Big Ten history.
Yeah, and honestly, that's when Ohio State began to pivot. You see that right. Ryan Day's influence on the offense since then has been nothing short of amazing. He was the offensive coordinator then. He was the head coach, acting head coach for the first 3 games, and then took over following the Rose Bowl as the head coach as Urban Meyer left. And the offense has pivoted from a run-pass quarterback situation with Terrell Pryor, Braxton Miller, J.T. Barrett to an extent, to where it is now strictly a passing offense. I mean, in many regards, or largely a passing offense. And you don't get Justin Fields if you don't have Dwayne Haskins. And then
it's a great point.
You don't get C.J. Stroud if you don't have Justin Fields and Dwayne Haskins. So to me, and C.J. Stroud, in my mind, Dave, is going to make a run at some of these records. If he puts up Rose Bowl stats in a few of the games this coming season like he did, some of Dwayne's records are gonna fall. But it's going to be a poignant year, I think, for a lot of people thinking about Dwayne Haskins, both with the Steelers, what could have been, and his impact on Ohio State. And I think they'll probably have a helmet decal. And, the spring game is this week. It'll be interesting to see what they do to recognize him and honor him. And obviously for the season opener against Notre Dame, I'm sure there'll be some type of commemoration as well. But I guess we're just all kind of at a loss to explain what's happened and yet to realize what an amazing force of nature he was. I referenced he was Simba coming in, but he was definitely the Lion King going out. There was no two ways about it. He ripped your heart out if he could. And that's what he did for Ohio State 13 times that season in 2018. So my condolences to his family, his friends, his teammates, classmates, and everybody in Buckeye Nation who's just hurting today still as we search for answers and just wonder, what happened and why. And, just senseless, just very unfortunate, the whole thing.
Another one of my favorite memories from Dwayne, Steve, is watching him during that 2018 season and how he didn't change at all when he talked to us. I mean, he knew he was blowing up. He knew he was going to be he was in the race to be in the Heisman, be a Heisman finalist. He ended up being a Heisman finalist, went to New York for the Heisman ceremonies. I still think he should have won the Heisman that year. Again, I think Ohio State would have won maybe 8 games that year because of Dwayne. They won 13. He was worth 5 wins, in my opinion, by himself. And his attitude with us never changed. He was complete class all the way, 100% class, outstanding young man. That's easier said than done. We're seeing the same thing with CJ Stroud. There's just certain guys where they just don't let it go to their head. And, he would just always exuded class. And it's one of the things I'll always remember about him the most.
Yeah, I agree. I think he always had a smile on his face as he approached his work and a very lighthearted, but it was not a thing where you would say, oh, he doesn't care about what's going on, or he's just here to have a good time, or, we ain't here to play school. None of that foolishness. It was, let's play winning football. Let's have fun doing it. And he was a leader and a charismatic leader, and the guys fell right in behind him. And, people look at the NFL career and obviously the Heisman Trophy that Joe Burrow won in 2019, which it was never an apples to oranges same year comparison. It was 2 different years. If you compare Joe Burrow's 2018 at LSU to what Dwayne Haskins did in 2018 at Ohio State, there's no comparison. And then, of course, Burrow took those numbers and put him out of sight the following year at LSU when he won the national championship and the Heisman Trophy. But it's revisionist history to say that Joe Burrow should have been the quarterback at Ohio State in 2018. They made the decision that they thought was the best for all parties concerned at the time, and you can't go back and change it. It's just the way that it's funny. It's just the way that things work out. And Ohio State may or may not win the national championship in 2022. We don't know. It's all completely out there. They've got a team that's good enough to do it, but, crazy things happen in this sport. And, teams come out of nowhere sometimes. And, who would have thought a year ago at this time that Michigan would have been in the playoff, just using as an example. So, I just don't feel like you denigrate Dwayne Haskins and what he did just because you love Joe Burrow, and Joe Burrow has become a Super Bowl quarterback for the Bengals, doesn't change what the situation was at Ohio State 4 years ago. So, Dwayne was amazing. It's too bad we only got to see him start for 1 season. I think there's a lot of people would have maybe wanted him instead of Barrett in 2017. I don't know, but again, revisionist history, you never know. But, all this football talk, it just pales in comparison to what kind of a guy this kid was. And, did he have his off the field problems a couple times? Yeah. Was the situation in Washington the best? No, there was a coaching change. And obviously the new coach Rivera and everybody, they want their guy,
and just a terrible organization. One of the worst organizations
in
the
all of
NFL,
North American
Washington.
professional sports. Yes.
Dan Snyder makes Mike Brown. Now, Mike Brown, I love him now. For years, I was not a big Mike Brown fan, Steve, as you can imagine.
Yeah, in the 90s, the Bengals were the worst.
Mike Brown's opening up the checkbook. Mike Brown's my guy now. But Dan Snyder makes Mike Brown look like the best owner in the world by comparison.
Yeah, 90s and 2000s.
That's how dysfunctional Washington is. Yeah.
Now it's Washington, no doubt. They in Jacksonville, they're both at the bottom of the barrel. But
Jacksonville might be on the way up. That we'll see. I can't remember what I was going to say now about Dwayne. I was going to say something else about him, but we're going to get a chance to meet with Ryan Day today. That'll be interesting. Hopefully I can remember what I was just going to say about Dwayne. It wasn't anything too profound, but hopefully that I remember what I was going to say. But, I'm sure we're not going to talk football today with Coach Day. That was pretty clear. We'll talk spring game with him, spring game stuff on Thursday, but will be interesting meeting with Ryan Day. I'm sure it's going to be very somber over there. It's just, as you mentioned, Dwayne, the best thing about Dwayne was the kind of young man he was. It's so damn sad what happened. I remember what I was going to ask you. There's been a lot of talk about what should happen with Dwayne, honoring Dwayne. Obviously, they're going to honor Dwayne. I mean, we've had people say they should put a DH, sticker on the helmet. I think that's the very least they're going to do. And maybe some people have said they should retire the number. I don't think they're quite going to do that. The thing is, CJ Stroud right now wears the number 7. And I think what needs to happen there is whatever the Haskins family wants and whatever CJ Stroud wants, that's got to be on them. I imagine the Haskins family will say the best thing that you can do to honor Dwayne, I'm just spitballing here, is to wear the number and ball out. But what do you think should happen with CJ wearing the number 7? Again, I think it should be CJ, whatever he wants to do, because maybe he's not comfortable wearing it anymore. Haskins family, they need to make the decision there. How should Ohio State honor him? What should happen with the number 7 this year with CJ?
Yeah, there'll be something special. Maybe even stitch the number 7 into the turf. Maybe at the 7-yard line, just have a little circle with the 7 or something.
I like that.
Maybe his initials would be a really nice tribute to him. And I think anything you can do. Obviously, just a special person taken from us way too soon, and had the potential to do so many great things. I don't know what to really say, what's appropriate. I think if CJ Stroud's comfortable wearing number 7, then he'll probably wear number 7 this year and, dedicate the season. There was some kinship there, even though they were never on the same team. I think there was some kinship there between all of these quarterbacks, and Fields just the same. So I think there is a camaraderie and a kinship there that they share a bond, and I think that Stroud, if we get a chance to talk to him, I'm sure he'll want to say a couple of words about it as well, because he's a very spiritual person as well, and share some of the advice that Dwayne maybe gave him on how to approach, again, as we said, one of the toughest jobs in college football. And, the best way to honor him is to keep his memory, fresh in our consciousness. Let's don't just let this come and pass and not recognize, and appreciate everything he did for Ohio State and for the people around him. I mean, I'm so interested to hear what Ryan Day has to say, because I'm sure he's going to be very emotional. He's a kid, obviously, that Ryan Day came to Ohio State to coach and, recruited to Ohio State, I presume, by Beck and Warner and that regime in 2016. And then
Urban, you got him.
Urban, yeah. And then
Day Smith, I think Zach Smith was actually a big part of it too.
Yeah, and Day inherited him in 2017 when he shows up. So, and obviously the Ohio State offense has taken from that point on, from 2018, I have a hard time believing anybody has accumulated at the major college level as many touchdowns, yards, et cetera. They were number 1 in both scoring and yardage this past season. And that began with Dwayne Haskins. So
absolutely.
In 2018. So his legacy is going to live on, because he's helped transform Ohio State into something that it's never been. So that's good. He was the first round quarterback from Ohio State back to Art Schlichter.
Yeah, I know. By the Baltimore Colts. I know. That's how long ago. Yeah,
82 draft.
82. Yeah. By the Baltimore Colts. That's how long ago it was. 1982. Yeah. And now that we're gonna have a steady stream of first round quarterbacks coming for, already had Dwayne, Justin, CJ's gonna be next.
Number one overall.
Whoever wins between the McCord Devin Brown battle, they'll be a first round pick, I bet. Just keep.
And then whoever loses in that battle, if they stick around,
right.
It's like the old Schembecker line.
Burrow.
Those who stay will be first round draft choices. So.
I love it. Well, I'm glad we're able to finish.
Or those who stay will be sorely embarrassed.
Honoring Dwayne and at least having a laugh, because I think it's equal parts. It's so sad, but it's also fun to think about the great memories of Dwayne.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got to get running. I appreciate all the comments. You guys made some very heartfelt comments. We appreciate it. Even had a Notre Dame fan check in. I think some of the college football community overall, not just Ohio State fans, have been really, really, really cool. So thanks to everybody for tuning in. Again, Ryan Day today at 10:30. We'll have all coverage of that on Bucknuts. Thank you for tuning into the show. We appreciate it very much. Thanks to Steve Helwagen for his insights and his commentary. Appreciate you guys. Rest in peace, Dwayne. We love you, man. Rest in peace to one of the best young men I've met and a Buckeye legend. Thanks again for joining us on today's show.